Just need to tell Ellie how to mute
We're on. We're on.
Mute his screen, man.
We're on.
Is everybody back on?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm here too.
I'm Bill.
Let's make sure everybody's on.
Ellie comes back on, ask him to please mute his screen. The guy, I don't know what's up there.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to do it.
Can you see
Oh,
me?
Oh,
Yes, David, we see you.
Okay.
David, you're back on.
You got me?
Yeah.
We got Saul, yes.
Okay, so now before you
What about
start,
Michael
everybody
Summer?
should mute.
What about
Yeah.
Michael Summer?
How come I don't have it on now? I can't see the video.
Yes, I see
Summer
Michael
just
now.
joined, it said.
What about Johnny?
Oh my God.
Michael Sommer is on.
Yeah, what about Johnny?
I don't see him.
What about Harold?
Harold is in. Harold is in.
What about Genauer?
No, he probably will not know unless his granddaughter is there. He didn't know how to do it. I explained to her.
Before you start, Ernie, tell everybody to mute.
Johnny says you need
Okay.
a new meeting number. No.
You don't need the same. It's the same number worked. Oh, Elazar is back on. Mario.
Oh, okay. Well, start because Johnny.
Just tell Johnny it's the same number.
I told Johnny what to do. Oh, he is there. Now, come on. Ellie probably does not know how to.
What about Jerry Einhorn?
Oh, you're right.
He's finishing his plum.
I think we need to teach Ellie how to mute the phone.
He fell asleep.
Ernie,
Make sure you
Ernie,
Yes.
Ernie, if you shuckle so much, you're going to hit the screen. You've got to stay a little bit stiller.
Okay.
All right, come on.
Okay. So I just
Mute
want to go. I want to go.
Okay,
over,
so we need to all mute.
yeah, everybody mute. So I just want to
Okay,
go over
Ernie,
this.
just try a little less shuckling there. You're getting the giddy.
Less chocolate. Okay. So this is a very important point. So our clothing, bisman hazeh, usually the threads are not wound. So really, we don't have that much Torah prohibition, but we have a rabbinic prohibition. Bisman hazeh says, let's see Rabbeinu Tam inside. Before Rabbeinu Tam, Dimonoraisa Shaatnez ksiv ad she'yeshua
Ernie, can I just say something?
Yes.
When you say you don't have so much of a chiyuv, when you look at when they take out the Shaatnez out of the suits and that, you see that part of the suit is actually it's actually woven. It's not woven. When you see them taking out Shaatnez, it's really woven.
No, but he said like this: before the weaving, if the threads are not wound together around a spindle, which strengthens the threads, one does not violate the Isser D'Oraisa, Walter. And then it says, with regard to contemporary clothing, the threads are often not wound. In which case, according to Rabbeinu Tam, there would be no Torah prohibition violated if one fashioned clothing with linen and wool. But nevertheless, according to all opinions, there's a rabbinic Shaatnez. That's all he's saying. That since today, it may be woven, but if the threads that they're weaving with are not wound together around a spindle, that is, if the wool and linen are not wound together around a spindle, you don't violate the Isser D'Oraisa. I think that's an interesting point. So let's see inside the Tosfos. Shazur means twisted. So this is the source for why Rabbeinu Tam is a little bit more stringent in one aspect than Rashi. Now the Rambam presents a third opinion. According to the Rambam, this is brought by the Beis Yosef in the Tur. The language of the Rambam is a little difficult to understand, and you have to see the commentaries, the Kesef Mishnah, and the Rabbah's dispute his opinion at length. We're following the interpretation of Rav Yosef, the Kesef Mishnah, and the Beis Yosef, right? Because Rav Yosef Karo wrote a Perush on the Rambam, which was the Kesef Mishnah, And he wrote the main explanation of the Torah, the Beis Yosef, which eventually became the basis for the Shulchan Aruch. So we are going according to the Rav Yosef Karo's understanding of the Rambam's language, as opposed to other Rishonim. So according to the Rambam, the way Beis Yosef learns him, what violates the Isser of Shaatnez, even when performing only Shua alone using linen and wool. Remember, we said Shua was the carding process, the combing process. And if you did linen and wool together, even without Tavi Venuz, or you didn't do Tavi Venuz together, the Rambam understands Shua to mean that the threads of linen and wool are wetted in water and then smoothed out and pressed together, which transforms them into cloth without spinning them. This creates the material known today as felt. In addition, the Rambam holds that if one spins and weaves the linen and wool threads together, even without smoothing them out, it's also considered Shaatnez min deraisa. Says the Rambam, once the wool and the flax comes together, we don't care, they're connected anyhow. You just comb them together. And you made them into a mass. That's what we describe as this felt. But now you made a mixed fabric. Tarfan. So therefore, if you mixed the tavo ison ke'echad, the orag beged mitfui zeh, and then you made a garment woven from this combined fragment, hareze kloy. Now, we now have three opinions. Rashi was lenient, Rabbeinu Tam a little bit more chumrah, Rambam even more chumrah than that. So who do we follow like in practical? By the way, the Raiva disagrees with the Rambam and holds like Rabbeinu Tam. So who do we follow? According to Shulchan Aruch, the halacha is in accordance with the stringent opinion of the Rambam, that combining linen and wool, even without having performed all three stages with them, violates the prohibition of Shaatnez. We clearly saw that Rashi needed you to do all three stages together. The Rambam says you don't need that. That's why he's more machmir. Says the Shulchan Aruch, he uses the exact lashon of the Rambam. As long as you make some connection between the pishtan and the wool, osra mishum klai, ketzad, semru pishtan shetarfin zemzeh, we said if they mix together, v'shalsam and smooth them out, osam lavadim, and you made a sort of a fabric out of them, o shetarfin v'tovo ke'echad, or you wove it, sewed and woven together with a linen one, you sewed it together, o shetarfin beged semru b'shel pishtan, afilu tafrin b'chutei meshi v'kanvas, even if you sewed them with thread from silk or hemp. Or he says, you took a cloth of wool and you used thread of flax, or vice versa. A garment of flax, or you wound together thread of wool and linen, or gadlan, or you made a string out of them. All of this is forbidden. Mishum kloy. However, the shach, right? We have the taz and the shach. As I said many times in Isser V'Heter and throughout Yoredeya, usually we follow whatever the shach says. The shach added that most opinions disagree with the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch and hold that felt, unprocessed fabric that is not spun or woven there, it's only mashed together, is only subject to rabbinic kloy. Right? The awesome and levadim, the rova poskim sfilu the levadim, which is this felt, eino asron elamid rabon. Okay. So far, we're on page 298. So far, we have seen the different opinions. What constitutes Shaatnez on a deraisa level? Everybody agrees, though, that even linen and wool that are not joined together through the process of shua tovei v'nuz may still be subject to the prohibition of Shaatnez on a drabonon level. In fact, even inserting one linen thread into a woolen garment is forbidden, as long as the attachment is strong and stable. The Gemara Yevamos defines this forbidden attachment as one where at least two stitches are made to bind the linen and wool together. Says so if you make two stitches with a needle that's considered an attachment. But a single stitch is not an attachment. Based on this, the Rashba writes that it's permitted to wear a linen garment on top of a wool garment or vice versa. It means, let's say you have a shirt made out of flax and you want to wear a woolen sweater over it. The Rashba says it's okay. The prohibition only applies when they are attached together with at least 2 stitches. Amrit, says the Rashba, see, Eli, there was Rav Yonason in France. This French Rav Yonason was machmir and said you shouldn't wear a woolen garment over a linen garment. You could do that if you wore an intervening garment. It means if you wore a t-shirt made out of linen and a shirt made out of cotton, and then a sweater over that, that would be permitted even according to Rav Yonason. Says the Rashba of Amit Sha'ata Kain, Gam Kain Shamat Mishum Rav Yonazal, Kshari Lovish Beged Semal Chaluk, Lo Yamadik Azuro, Kidei Shloch HaBezetzeh. But the Rashba says that when he wore a wool garment on his cloak, he would not tighten his belt so as not to attach them together. So this was asked to the Rashba. Says the Rashba in the Tzurba, if you want to wear a linen garment and a wool garment separately, even one on top of each other, right? He says even if they are attached with 1 stitch, it's permitted, mutter. So, for example, pulling something apart on Shabbos, you'd be potter because it's not an attachment if it only had 1 stitch. So the Rashba is clearly telling us that you could wear one garment on top of another. There's no chibur at all. Other Rishonim, such as the Rosh, brought by the Tur, maintain that 2 stitches alone is insufficient to violate the prohibition. Rather, one must tie them together. The Shulchan Aruch rules that 2 stitches, even without tying, violates the prohibition, while the Ramah rules like the Rosh, that it must be tied in order to violate the prohibition. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Beged Semer Shechibu and Beged Pishtin B'Tkifa Achas Eino Chibu. 1 stitch is nothing. Veins decline. Kovat Shnei Rosh Achut Ke'achot. If you gather the 2 edges of the threads together as one, or stitch 2 stitches without tying it, it's still climb. But says the Ramad Lavi climb el b'shtei tkifos v'kesher shnei rosh achut. You can do 2 stitches, but says the Ramad, if you don't tie it together, it doesn't create a chibur. Based on these sources, the Chachma Sodom, who's the Chachma Sodom? He's the Chaya Yodam. But the Chaya Yodam that we're used to is on Orach Chayim. The Chachma Sodom was on Yoredeya. In fact, in Isser V'Heter, the Chachma Sodom is used almost like a Mishnah Brura. Rules that it's permitted to attach Rabbi Danzig, who lived about 200 years ago. So the Chachma Sodom rules that it's permitted to attach a linen and wool garment through together using buttons. Muchul l'chaber beged semer beged pishtim al yedei kneplach ukrosim hooks. Imheim b'inyan shehem refuyim, as long as it's attached loosely. Aval imheim mehu dokim yafeh, if it's very fastened very tightly. She'yaf shalotzian b'kal, so you can't separate it easily. Elam ken yichfoch hakrosim ashukar nekovim, you have to rip open holes. Then it's also l'kula am. But you see that if you connect it through a button, that's not going to be problematic. Similarly, Yalkut Yosef permits attaching a linen and wool garment together using a zipper, snaps, or Velcro, even if they remain attached permanently this manner. That's hooks or buttons. Even though you leave it there. As long as it's somewhat loose. You could open it up without tearing the holes, or bending the hooks. Same thing with a zipper, or tic-tac. Lachtzaniyut, I think that's snaps. De'eno nechshav l'chibur. Is David Hager still there? TikTok is what is that? Snaps? What's like a
Yes.
snap? Like when you snap like a snap a button, like a button
Right.
snap.
The
That's a
method.
TikTok. So let's say there were two components of the beged. One was wool and one was linen, and you put them together with a snap. L'chura, that's not a problem. That's Scotch tape, right, or Velcro. Right? Okay, so we've seen some very interesting. Let's continue. 301. Placing linen and wool garments on top of one another. We learned in the previous section that climb is not prohibited unless the linen and wool are sufficiently attached to each other. According to this principle, one would expect that it would be permitted to wear separate linen and wool garments at the same time, such as a woolen sweater and a linen shirt, since they are not attached. And this was clearly the position of the Rashba. Nevertheless, it's not so simple. This issue is subject to dispute because the Talmud Yerushalmi seems to forbid it. Says the Talmud Yerushalmi, Ba'avan Kami Rabbi Lo. So they asked Rabbi Ilah the following question: Ma'u nichut v'sanye bikita? Can you sew leather with threads of linen? Kitan is flax. Omer Lani responded, Lo. Omer like gone to Rabbi Zeira. Is it because of Rav Zeira? The Rav Zeira Omer Osir. So Moed Rabbi Lo Bahen, that the Yilavash, the Ratzin, the Amr Al Gabi dress the Kitan, he says where one wears wool socks on top of linen socks, it's forbidden. The Lo Shalach Ilai Lo Shalach Harai. Since if he does not remove the upper ones, he can't remove the lower ones. Means you can't take off the wool things without taking off the. So in essence, he considers that too much of a chibur. So according to Yerushalmi, wearing linen and wool on top of one another is forbidden if you cannot remove the lower garment without removing the upper garment. So it seems halachically they're considered attached. However, the Shulchan Aruch rules leniently, based on the opinion of the Rambam, who did not rule like the Yerushalmi. But the Ramah quotes the Yerushalmi. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Mutter lilbosh cholok shel tzem al gabi cholok shel pishton, v'lekshorem yachal, even to tie them together. Aval pishem yochel lepashtem lo hataras hakesher. That means even if you can't remove the sweater over your shirt without removing the tie, he permits it. Even if it's a knot that will last a long time, as long as you don't tie them with two stitches. It says the Ramah, you can't wear one linen and one sock on top of each other. The Ma'achar, he's quoting the Yerushalmi. The Ma'achar, the Efsher Lifshot Atachtona below Al Yona. You can't remove the bottom one without removing the top one. Have you kechibur? It's not similar to wearing a shirt on top of a sweater. The Efsher Lifshot Atachtona below El Yom, the Nochel Nizar, where I guess there you can take off the lower one without the upper one. This refers to two upper garments with the upper one is looser than the lower one, similar to the one who wears a sweater underneath a suit jacket, where one can usually move the sweater without taking off the suit jacket. Still pretty hard to do that. But the Ramah, I guess, said you could do that. The problem with the Yerushalmi and the Ramah is that it's difficult to understand why it should matter whether the lower garment can be removed without the upper garment being removed. Why does this render them as if they were joined or attached together? So Rav Chaim Kanievsky writes in the Derech Hamuna that the Chazon Ish was in fact stringent about this issue, but that the general custom is, like according to Chazon Ish, we can rely on wearing a wool sweater on top of a linen shirt. Let's see what the Rav Chaim says. That you shouldn't wear a foot covering one on top of the other. So regarding shoes, he says you should not wear one on top of the other. He requested that the shoes not be made out of flax. יש פירושים אחרים. גם יש לומר, דשם הצמר והפשתן יחד, ובנידון דידן יש עוד לצדד, כיוון שאין הפשתן והצמר נוגעים זה בזה. ולדעת הרבה פוסקים מותר וכאן הוא רק חשש רבונן, אפשר שיש להקל שכנוגע כל אומץ רכיות. He says that to wear one on top of another, it's only rabbinic, and one could be lenient, and that's the widespread custom, but requires further analysis. I think it's a good place to stop. Mirza Hashem, those of us who learned Daf Yomi will continue learning Daf Yomi tonight, and we'll do this shiur next Tuesday as well in the same manner. I hope everyone, you can unmute yourselves and make any comments now that you want to.
Yes, your call, Ernie. Great
Excellent,
job.
excellent.
Koyach, thank you.
Good. Everyone should stay safe.
Gerard, you have to bring a plum for everybody next week.
There's an interesting couple pages on charts with different descriptions starting on page 318. You might want to look at that.
Absolutely. It's
Different
very
types of garments and
Oh,
what
hey, do we-
constitutes Shaatnez.
Do we have a minion? We can have Myers.
I saw Tzvika had a shiur that he sent out about minion through, but I didn't read the final psak. I didn't get to
Ernie Tzvika wants to have a shiur. He's thinking of having a shiur Thursday.
Share together,
People
right?
would come.
Say it
But
again.
I suggested Zoom, but somebody has to set it up for him.
Not me.
Okay.
There's Ellie across the street.
I could set him up if I spoke to
I
him.
think
he
you should
seemed
set him up because he said